Can we combine two different art styles in one game? Do you know when in animation movies you have these backstory parts at the beginning? My idea is that we can have the same, a little like the one in Shrek. For this, we tried 3 completely different art styles for the opening cutscene of our indie game to see which one fits best. And I have to say, we have a hard decision to make. Let me show you. Our indie game, 9060 Tal, a story-driven puzzle game, already has its core art direction locked in. But before gameplay even begins, I want an introduction that grounds you in António's world, a poor fishing town in northern Portugal during 60s and 70s. The rest of the narrative is subtle. You only see his life once a year on the same day, as he packs his bags for his short summer break. So this intro is the only time where I can show the wider world directly. I also wanted it to feel like something from the past, mostly so it's clear that this is happening before the main game's time, and instantly I thought of Arcane. No spoilers, don't worry. And how they make those short music video segments with distinct styles. And they're incredible at creating mood with completely different techniques. So I thought, what if our intro had its own distinct visual identity? Charcoal drawings are already super good at conveying something told in the past, mostly because it is black and white. For this style we will need a few frames inspired by Arcane's charcoal style, some movement to understand how hard this would be to pull off for the entire cutscene, a lot of variation to make it seem like we scanned the frames from paper, even though it will be digitally. So I opened Krita, grabbed some brushes and started experimenting. The start was promising. I got somewhere relatively fast, and it has this stylized quality to it, just unsure if it fits the game. But then I remembered a tiny detail. The cutscene is 2 minutes long, and even if I go for a storyboard style animation with 1 frame per second more or less, that's still 120 illustrations. So my options were draw 120 frames manually, I could use Designer to make it procedural,
or you can use AI.
Procedural variation. I jumped into Substance Designer and made this paper texture. Every time I switch this random seed, it generates a slightly different noise pattern. So I wrote a Python script that randomizes every seed in the graph and then export as many texture variants as I need. Now putting everything into the video editing software, and here's the final proof of concept.
O sargaço era colhido, os barcos pequenos saíam.
It doesn't scream 1960s Portuguese fishing village, but it does feel like it is telling a story from before António's time. This time I wanted to take more inspiration from Portuguese traditional art. I thought of Portuguese bobbin lace, filigree, mandoline architecture, but the obvious choice to me was azulejo tiles. These glaze tiles are everywhere. Churches, train stations, massive mural walls telling entire stories tile by tile. For the azulejo proof of concept I needed a new set of shots based on the same narration, movement tests to see whether tiles break the flow, a process to generate tons of tile variation without manually painting 120 of them. I wanted each frame to feel like I had rebuilt the entire wall every time, as if each shot were a slightly imperfect hand-laid mural. Of course, I'm a mere technical artist, and while I can tackle most game-making challenges, most of my skill set is digital. So while I did paint azulejo before, with a lot of help, I would probably suck at the rest of this process.
Why not use AI? I'll be back.
We don't need AI for this. We can make it procedurally instead, with a little work in Substance Designer. We make tile textures, add some variation, some cracks, add color, sample the previous tile exploration image with some variations, use the same randomization tool that we had from the previous tile, then we can export a bunch of them. And just like that, we have something we can work with. Then I made 3 main illustrated frames. First one was seaweed gathering, sargaço, which is the work that young people and women did at the beach, and they would sell this as fertilizer. A woman looking out to the sea with a wooden sargaço rake, and then a more dynamic sequence to see how animation would look in tiles. After exporting all variations, I dropped everything into the video editor and...
15 de novembro de 1960 era dia como todos os outros. O sargaço era colhido, os barcos pequenos saíam, as peixeiras vendiam os peixes entre os mexericos sobre as vizinhas.
Honestly, I feel like this one has a lot of potential. It screams Portuguese, the rendering is simple and stylized. I get a lot of variation easily for free, and it doesn't clash with the main art style of the game. I could lock in this style and be happy, but I had one more experiment in me. António is a boy that from a young age had to go work the nets for pocket change. Life was tough back then, in a fishing town like this, during the Portuguese dictatorship. There, a man was measured by his courage and masculinity. But Antonio was scared. His brothers always told him, it's the big quad boats or the ultramar war in Africa. He liked the nets. He could mend them safely inland. And he was quite good for his age, as he was taught by his mother from a young age. So I thought, what if the intro reflected that? So the goals were, I wanted to try more detailed movement this time. I definitely wanted to have real fabric scans and as much automation as possible.
With AI?
What? At least I think I got to fly. Where was I? Oh yeah, substance design it is. I manually scanned the fabrics, made an illustration out of masks in Krita, and built a system to create frayed edges and stitched outlines in Designer. It was messy. I ended up scratching the procedural stitching and ended up creating a custom Krita brush instead. Then came shadows for the fabric, small variations for the stitches, extra frames for motion, and finally the same Python randomization export tool. After getting everything into the video editor, this is what I got.
60 era dia como todos os outros. O sargaço era colhido, os barcos pequenos saíam.
I really like this style honestly, but it took a long time. I confess that the approach I took was not ideal in hindsight. I think I could pull this off with a smarter workflow. So those were the 3 styles. Which one did you like the most? If you liked the video, then please drop a like and subscribe. And also check out the Steam page. You can wishlist it there too, that would be incredibly helpful. And thanks for watching. See you next time.